I was sitting near gate 22, waiting for a flight that had already been delayed twice, when a hand suddenly closed around my arm. "Please," the woman said quietly, urgently, sliding into the seat beside me as though we'd been traveling together the whole time. "Act like my husband for the next 40 minutes. I'll explain everything, I promise, just please, go along with this." I turned to look at her properly for the first time. She was maybe mid-30s, blonde hair pulled back loosely, wearing a blazer that looked expensive but slightly rumpled, like she'd been rushing through the terminal. Her eyes carried a kind of controlled panic, the kind I recognized from years of watching people try to hold themselves together under pressure. "My name is Daniel Reyes. I'm 41, a single father, and until about 30 seconds earlier, I had been minding my own business, waiting to catch a connecting flight home after visiting my sister for the weekend. I had no idea who this woman was, and every instinct told me to simply say no and return to my book. Instead, something in her expression, the kind of desperation people rarely fake convincingly, made me pause. "Explain what, exactly?" I asked quietly. "My name is Vivian," she said quickly, glancing over her shoulder toward the gate area. "That man over there, in the gray suit, near the coffee stand. He's my ex-fiancé. We ended things badly, very badly, and he's been showing up unexpectedly ever since, at my office, outside my apartment. I have a restraining order against him that he keeps testing the boundaries of. If he sees me sitting here alone, he's going to approach me, and I really don't want to deal with that right now, especially not in a crowded terminal with security still 10 minutes away by the time anyone actually responds." I glanced subtly toward the coffee stand, spotting the man she mentioned, tall, tense posture, eyes scanning the terminal with obvious purpose. 40 minutes, I said slowly. "Until your flight boards." "Exactly," Vivian said. "If he sees I'm not alone, sees I'm with someone, he generally backs off. He doesn't like confrontation in public, only quiet intimidation when he thinks no one's paying attention." I considered this for a moment, weighing the strangeness of the situation against the obvious, genuine fear in her voice. I thought about my daughter, Lily, waiting for me at home, and what I would want someone to do if she were ever in a similar situation someday. "All right," I said finally. 40 minutes, what's the plan?" Relief flooded across her face, quick and unmistakable. "Just talk to me. Normally. Like we know each other. If he approaches, let me do most of the talking, but stay close." We settled into an easy, if slightly awkward, conversation, the kind two strangers create when suddenly forced into unexpected intimacy. She asked about my work, and I told her honestly, aircraft maintenance technician, single father, coming home from visiting my sister. She mentioned working in corporate logistics, though she kept the details vague, understandably distracted by the man now approaching slowly from across the terminal. "Vivian," he said, stopping a few feet away, his voice carrying a practiced calmness that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Didn't expect to see you here." "Marcus," Vivian said evenly, her hand finding mine naturally, squeezing gently. "This is Daniel, my husband." Marcus's eyes flicked toward me, assessing, calculating. "Husband? Since when?" "Since it's none of your business," Vivian said, her voice steady despite the tension radiating just beneath the surface. I met his gaze directly, calm but unmistakably firm. "Is there a problem here?" Marcus studied me for a long moment, clearly recalculating whatever plan he'd walked over with. "No," he said finally, stepping back slightly. "No problem, just saying hello." "Then you've said it," I replied evenly. "We'd appreciate some privacy." He lingered a moment longer, then turned and walked away, disappearing back into the crowd near the coffee stand. Vivian exhaled slowly, her shoulders sagging with visible relief. "Thank you," she said softly, releasing my hand. "I know that was an incredibly strange thing to ask a stranger." "It happens," I said, offering a small, reassuring smile. "You all right?" "Better now," she admitted. He has a way of making public spaces feel smaller than they actually are. We continued talking for the remainder of the 40 minutes, the earlier tension slowly giving way to genuine, easy conversation. She asked about my daughter, and I found myself talking about Lily more openly than I usually did with strangers, her curiosity about the world, her insistence on packing 3 different stuffed animals for every trip, no matter how short. "She sounds wonderful," Vivian said, smiling for what seemed like the first time since she'd sat down. "She is," I agreed. "She's the reason I do pretty much everything." Eventually, her flight was called for boarding. She stood, gathering her bag, then paused, looking at me with genuine gratitude. I don't know how to properly thank you, she said. You didn't have to help a complete stranger. Sometimes people just need someone to show up, I said simply. I understand that better than most. She smiled, then hesitated. Can I give you my number? Not because of today, necessarily. Just because this was, strangely, one of the more honest conversations I've had in a long while. I considered this for a moment, then nodded, exchanging numbers before she boarded her flight, disappearing down the jet bridge with one final glance back. My own flight was called shortly afterward, and as I settled into my seat, I found myself smiling faintly at the strangeness of the entire encounter, an unexpected 40 minutes that had somehow turned into something quietly meaningful. When I arrived home that evening, Lily ran to greet me at the door, as she always did. How was your trip, Daddy? I knelt down, hugging her gently. It was interesting, sweetheart, I said, thinking of Vivian's message that had already arrived on my phone, a simple thank you, followed by an invitation to coffee sometime soon. Interesting how? Lily asked curiously. I smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. Sometimes, I said softly, the most unexpected moments turn out to matter the most.